The Rockbridge Report. Across the nation and here in Rockbridge County, 17 minutes of silence for the 17 lives lost in Parkland, Florida.
What newly released tapes revealed about the Stoneman Douglas shooting.
United Airlines' latest scandal might have you reconsidering your travel plans.
Think vapes are better for you than cigarettes? Think again. New studies say that may not be the case.
All that and more on the Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news for Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Faith Isbell.
And I'm Catherine Young. It's a big news day. We have a few breaking news stories for you. From Miami this afternoon, a Florida Highway Patrol spokesman said several people have died after a pedestrian bridge collapsed at Florida International University. Multiple agencies are at the scene. Lieutenant Alejandro Camacho said 5 to 6 vehicles were crushed underneath the bridge. The $14.2 million bridge was just finished last Saturday. The Miami-Dade Fire Rescue Tactical Response Team is working to secure the structure while searching for victims. Florida Governor Rick Scott was briefed on the incident. Scott will be on the school's campus this evening to talk with local law enforcement and university officials. We'll monitor the situation and keep you updated.
Breaking news in the Russia probe. A source familiar with the matter said Special Counsel Robert Mueller has subpoenaed the Trump Organization for business documents. The New York Times said the subpoena included documents related to Russia. The reports marked the first publicly known time Mueller has demanded documents related to President Donald Trump's businesses. The subpoena is a sign that the Mueller investigation continues to pick up steam, even as Trump continually denies any wrongdoing. The source who spoke to CNN today said the subpoena's intention was to ensure that all related documents are handed over. White House officials declined to comment.
The Trump administration has reversed itself and chosen to name Russia as the perpetrator of a deadly nerve agent attack in England. After the brazen poisoning of a former Russian spy on British soil, British Prime Minister Theresa May has directly pinned the blame on Russia. So did U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson in what ultimately became one of his last public statements before being fired. But at the White House, President Donald Trump's initial response was more cautious. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders at first avoided naming Russia as the likely perpetrator, but later said Russia was responsible. U.S. allies and some congressional lawmakers viewed Trump's hesitation as an attempt to avoid offending Moscow. The NATO Secretary General called the nerve gas attack unacceptable.
Missile for missile or drone for drone. We do not want a new Cold War.
He said it was just another example of Russia's reckless pattern of behavior.
After 70 years of serving as America's most iconic toy store, Toys R Us announced today it will be closing all 735 of its U.S. locations. The chain has faced years of competition from Walmart and Amazon and filed for bankruptcy last September. It had hoped to shed debt, but last year's holiday earnings failed to meet even worst-case projections. The company said it had planned to remain open through the 2018 holiday season, but realized its U.S. branch would be completely broke by May. About 31,000 Toys R Us workers will be laid off within the next 2 months.
Authorities released surveillance footage today showing what happened outside Stoneman Douglas High School during the Valentine's Day massacre that killed 17 people. The video shows former Sheriff's Deputy Scott Peterson flee the scene when the shooting started. Peterson was armed and assigned to the school, but stood outside the targeted building as students and faculty were killed. Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel said Peterson was suspended without pay and chose to resign. Video of what happened inside the school during the shooting is not being released.
As the clock struck 10 a.m. local time yesterday, students across the country rose up and left their classrooms. The nationwide protest marked 1 month since the Valentine's Day massacre at Stoneman Douglas High School. The students participating in the walkout formed a unified voice demanding stricter gun control. In Washington, students, most not old enough to vote, sent this clear message to the White House and lawmakers. The walkouts lasted 17 minutes in honor of each of the 17 victims in Parkland.
Hundreds of students in Rockbridge County staged walkouts of their own. Our reporters spoke to some of the students at one area middle school and a high school. Our team coverage begins with Emma Durr, listening to students at Lilburn Downing Middle School in Lexington.
Lilburn Downing Middle School students joined over 3,000 other schools across the nation in a walkout yesterday. They stood in silence at Richardson Park to honor the victims of the school shooting last month in Parkland, Florida.
After Columbine, after Sandy Hook, after Virginia Tech, and now after Parkland. But will anything ever change? We call on our representatives to take decisive action to stop this from happening once and for all, whether it be through gun legislation, public health, or increased security at schools.
A group of 10 eighth graders organized the walkout. Many members from the community also came in support of their leadership and cause.
So we decided to do something for once because we realized that even though we don't know anyone who was killed, we could have known someone that was.
The student speeches emphasized that America needs to change to protect its schools, regardless of political views.
So it's really important that we bring awareness and make sure that everybody knows that even though this has gone political, it doesn't need to become political.
Principal Jason White said that he was enthusiastic when the students expressed interest in participating in the walkouts. He said there were many concerns from parents about the event, but planning guaranteed it was safe and organized. The most important part, he said, was that it was all about the kids.
We encourage student leadership every day in our building, and this was an opportunity for us to kind of, for lack of a better term, put our money where our mouth is.
2 students said they will attend the March for Our Lives walkout in D.C. on the 24th.
For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Emma Durr.
I'm standing outside of Perry McClure High School where students are participating in a nationwide school walkout to support the victims of the Parkland shooting last month.
Perry McClure's contribution to the nationwide school walkout was about 30 passionate students. Students walked outside of the school's front common area at 10 a.m. during the first class block of the school day.
I organized the entire event because I want to show that we stand with Parkland and that we want gun reform.
Perry McClure senior Alyssa Rice helped organize the school-wide walkout. She talked to students about the 17 victims of the Parkland shooting and urged gun reform.
It was honestly not that hard to get administration on board. They said that they support us and they support our rights.
Senior John Fitzgerald Jr. said it is important for the Buena Vista community to stand in solidarity during this time.
We're a small community and we all stick together more than anything, and we all protect each other as much as we can and just want everybody to be safe and happy.
9th grader Skylar Hartless said she was inspired by survivors of the shooting to also fight for gun control reform.
I've seen all the kids who are from the shooting, and they've been fighting really hard to get the government to do something, and the government won't do anything. And it's sad because I have to be scared to come to school.
For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Olivia Hewitt.
And our coverage continues with the walkout at Washington and Lee University. Paige Williams joins us live from the Colonnade.
Things are back to normal here, but yesterday about 200 students and faculty members gathered here in the cold weather for 17 minutes of silence.
WNL's Amnesty International President Rosella Gabriel said participants wrote 170 letters to Stoneman Douglas High School during the demonstration.
I didn't want it to just be purely symbolic. I wanted us to be able to, if this was going to be a great moment of unity and power, then to share that and to share the good emotions with the students at Parkland who are still recovering.
WNL's Amnesty International publicized the event and provided stationery. Gabrielle said her club will be sending the letters next Monday.
We are standing united as professors, community members, and students at Washington and Lee. And we are sending our support as academics to another community of academics that has been broken.
Catherine Oakley, who has attended demonstrations before, said she liked having an outlet for her emotion.
I was actually kind of surprised that I felt it was more powerful than I was expecting it to be. Because I've found generally in the other sort of demonstration things I've gone to, I felt like mostly frustrated with the fact that all we could do was like walk somewhere and like be angry together. But this time I felt like we were really significantly acknowledging the significance of the things that have been going on like on a national scale.
Participant and club member Sawara Khan said she spent those 17 minutes worried about her sister, a sophomore at Atlantic City High School in New Jersey.
They weren't able to go outside of the school because there was a gun threat. And I'm just like really worried right now. And I was like, how is this even happening? How do you threaten people who are walking out to protest this kind of thing?
Philadelphia station ABC6 reports that police searched the grounds and no weapons were found. They also say that no students were harmed. Another protest is scheduled for April 20th, the anniversary of the Columbine shooting. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Paige Williams.
Thanks, Paige. A school safety rally scheduled for March 24th in Washington could draw hundreds of thousands of protesters to the nation's capital. When we come back, if you thought this week's snowfall was the last you'll see this winter, think again.
What Austin, Texas residents are doing to protect themselves after package bombs killed 2 people earlier this week.
And if you vape, studies say you may have reason to worry. After the break.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for information on how to provide even better care for the person who wants to care of you.
Your son wants to get a cat, but you're allergic. Do you A, prepare yourself, B, make the best of it,
C²=25.
Good job!
or C, find a loophole? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes, B, console her,
don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Investigators in Texas still aren't sure how 3 package bombs that killed 2 Austin residents are connected. No arrests have been made yet after the bombs exploded last Monday. Many in the area are uneasy and some have decided to take action. CNN's Yoo-Jin Cho has the story.
East Austin,
I was born here.
a place the Zuniga family has been calling home for decades.
I wouldn't live anywhere else. Austin is my hometown.
They say they always felt safe until this week.
I've never felt like that before. I'm scared for the neighborhood, for everybody in Austin.
Now some like Tayo Castro want to make changes, starting with a walking neighborhood watch group. Castro hopes having this walking patrol will lead to more neighbors getting to know one another, so if there's a stranger, they'll know right away.
All we can do is make sure that good information, things like height, weight, license plates, that we can capture those when we have the chance. Then we can give that to law enforcement and make their job a whole lot easier.
Many people say that could help since not everyone can afford to have security cameras at their homes.
People that are residents, longtime residents here, aren't really thinking about, oh, I need cameras, because there's never really been a need.
They hope taking action, one step at a time, will keep their neighborhood safe.
We need to watch out for each other and, look after each other.
If we get paralyzed, then they've won. and I can't let that happen.
Yujin Cho, KXAN News.
Castro plans to present his idea at the Austin Justice Coalition's forum today.
E-cigarettes are the most popular form of nicotine in the U.S. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say e-cigarette companies promote them to teens and young adults as safe. But a recent study by the University of North Carolina found they're riskier than you may think. Rachel Hicks asks Rockbridge area smokers why they choose to vape.
The Food and Drug Administration defines e-cigarettes as battery-operated products made to deliver nicotine and liquid flavor. 19-year-old Rana Musto says she prefers e-cigarette smoke, but that doesn't necessarily make vaping better than smoking.
Everyone's like, well, I want to do it too, and then, it just becomes a kind of gross, weird trend about putting something in your mouth and smoking it. It's basically the new age cigarette.
E-cigarettes entered the U.S. market in 2007. The CDC says they have since become the most popular source of nicotine for people in their late teens and early 20s. Some also resemble USB devices, so they're less noticeable in schools. 7-Eleven assistant manager Ben Noker says students buy 40 refill cartridges every 2 weeks. Owner of the Stop and Go shop, Jonathan Gum, says vaping gives him the same feeling as smoking traditional cigarettes.
They're not too expensive, around $20 or so.
Tobacco Control Coordinator Neely Dahl says e-cigarettes' candy-flavored smoke smells good, but that doesn't mean the nicotine-filled gadgets are any less addicting than traditional cigarettes.
That's not a healthier option to be inhaling that deep in your lungs.
A 2018 study by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says people who try e-cigarettes are more likely to smoke traditional cigarettes in the future. I'm Rachel Hicks with the Rockbridge Report.
As the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says, if you haven't smoked yet, don't start now. So I know we've seen quite a bit of snow and ice the past few days, but what will the weather look like this weekend?
I have good news and bad news. We're shaping up for a gorgeous weekend except for on St. Patrick's Day. Now you can see what a gorgeous day today is at WNL. Blue skies on the colonnade. And now we have our daily almanac, where we see today we had a high of 51 and a low of 29, with a barometric pressure of 29.65. Wind speeds are a little high, around 23 miles per hour, and humidity is 26%. And now we have our current conditions, where we can see that Covington is by far the coldest with 40 degrees. Buena Vista a little bit warmer with 51 degrees. Lexington and Stanton are 52 degrees, Charlottesville warmer with 57 degrees, and Roanoke 57 degrees, and Lynchburg warmest with 58 degrees. And now we can see our radar, where we practically have a cloud in the sky. And now we have our 5-day forecast, where we can see tomorrow, Friday, we're continuing with our sunny skies with a high of 48 and a low of 28. Saturday, we've got that rain I was talking about with a high of 51 and a low of 33. Sunday, the sun's coming back with a high of 53 and a low of 34. Monday, a high of 55 and a low of 38. And Tuesday, that rain comes back again with a high of 50 and a low of 31. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Aspen. Lexington's comprehensive plan is due for a major upgrade, and residents are eagerly sharing their ideas for the city's future. Last week, nearly 100 citizens met at a workshop held by the Department of Planning and Development to discuss the plan. Common recommendations included wheelchair and stroller-friendly streets and high-speed internet. The next chance for residents to voice their opinions will be on March 21st at a public forum hosted by the Rockbridge Area Conservation Council. Next, why you might need to think twice before bringing your pet along on your next trip.
What the Queen of England has to say about Prince Harry's engagement when we come back.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
it's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the creative galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Why is my son having trouble in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with my son over his homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No. He's smart, but his mind wanders.
7 wonders of the world.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Lexington photographer Sally Mann's work is now on display in the National Gallery of Art in Washington. Mann, who was born and raised in Lexington, is a nationally acclaimed photographer and writer. Her work focuses on the landscapes and residents in the Rockbridge County area. Local artist Ed Bourdette says Mann proves that you don't have to be from a big city to achieve success as an artist. The exhibit, 1,000 Crossings, opened March 4th and will be on display in Washington through May 28th before moving to other U.S. cities. It will then go to Paris in 2019 as Mann's first exhibit to travel internationally.
Another day, another PR nightmare for United Airlines. This time, United mistakenly shipped a dog bound for Missouri to Japan. As CNN's Athena Jones reports, United faces its second controversial incident this week involving pets.
They showed me the kennel, and the minute I said, "Ergo," up pops this Great Dane.
United Airlines mistakenly shipping this Kansas-bound dog named Ergo more than 6,000 miles away from his intended destination. The 10-year-old German Shepherd winding up in Japan, leaving his family frantic.
I instantly burst into tears, just wondering where my dog was.
The family says that Ergo, who was suffering from an ear infection, made the 16-hour flight with no food or water. He was examined in Japan and is flying back to Kansas with an escort. United apologizing in a statement, saying that an error occurred during connections in Denver for 2 pets sent to the wrong destinations. The mix-up coming one day after this French bulldog died on board a different United flight after flying more than 3 hours from Houston to New York in an overhead bin.
When the flight attendants came, she said, you have to put him up there because it's going to block the path. And we're like, it's a dog. And she's like, it doesn't matter, you still have to put it up there. She took him out and opened the thing, and then she got the dog, and he was dead.
United taking full responsibility, acknowledging that the passenger did tell the flight attendant that the dog was in the carrier, but explaining that the attendant did not hear or understand her and did not knowingly place the dog in the overhead bin. Lawmakers are demanding answers.
What happened to this pet was disgraceful, and I can't imagine how the pet's owner feels, but we need to get to the bottom of it.
Republican Senator John Kennedy introducing legislation today to ban animals from being put in overhead bins. The Department of Transportation says 18 animals died on board United Airlines flights last year.
These latest incidents come nearly 1 year after United Airlines faced intense backlash after this video surfaced showing a passenger being dragged off a plane in an overbooking incident. The airline announced Wednesday that starting in April, it will use bright yellow tags for passengers traveling with pets so they can be easily identified by crew.
Queen Elizabeth II gave her formal consent to the marriage of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. The British monarch issued a declaration consenting to, in her words, a contract of matrimony for her most dearly beloved grandson. The prince, 5th in line to the British throne, and the American actress will marry May 19th at Windsor Castle. Alongside the declaration, the Queen signed a formal notice of approval that was transcribed in calligraphy and issued under the Great Seal of the realm. Harry is among a handful of senior royals who must seek the monarch's permission to marry or have their descendants disqualified from the succession to the throne. Next, what a flawless March Madness could mean for Warren Buffett's employees.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
It's fine that other people like you. It's more important that you like yourself. And I'm comfortable with every part of me. Meals on Wheels coming to my door as someone who's housebound assures me that I'm not forgotten. They care that I'm okay. My name is Asha Ida Bell. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. As it turns out, we have very similar personalities. And this cat makes me make art because he's always motivating me to take pictures of him, to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. It's just that simple. Well, he's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
James, I filled out my March Madness bracket last night. Did you?
I did. Who'd you have winning it?
I had UVA winning.
Okay, so I put UNC, and we've been following the games today, and there's been some madness so far. The Oklahoma Sooners, a team that a lot of people at the beginning of the year had going very far, were eliminated in the first round today. UPenn almost pulled off the first 16-1 upset before Kansas pulled away late in the game. And Gonzaga also survived a scare over the 13th-ranked UNC Greensboro. They were down 4 points with only a minute left, and they were able to come back and survive the upset. And so in the midst of all this March Madness, Berkshire Hathaway employees will have a chance to win as much as $2 million a year for life in their office pool for the NCAA men's basketball tournament. That is, if they fill out a perfect bracket. But the contest is only open to the roughly 375,000 employees of Warren Buffett's Omaha, Nebraska-based conglomerate. Meanwhile, in our local sports news, the WNL men's lacrosse team beat the third-ranked Gettysburg 13-8 last evening at Wilson Field. They will travel to Randolph-Macon for a 1 p.m. contest. But Gettysburg took the lead over WNL women's lacrosse team on Sunday afternoon for a final score of 18-5. The Generals will play against Bates on Sunday at UMW. The 14th-ranked WNL women's tennis team defeated Randolph-Macon 8-1 Tuesday afternoon and will return to action this Saturday when it plays MIT at Mary Washington. SVU's Paul Munson was named the Capital Athletic Conference Men's Tennis Player of the Week. He has recorded an 8-2 singles record and a 10-0 doubles record throughout this season. SVU women's team beat Salem College 9-0 yesterday afternoon, improving on their previous record of 6-1. The Knights will be back in action on Friday to take on Meredith College at 2 p.m. That's all for sports for today. Back to you, Faith.
Thanks, James. Thank you for joining us here at the Rockbridge Report today.
You can stay up to date on the news by following along on our website at rockbridgereport.wlu.edu. We'll see you on Tuesday for the live update.